irate, tireless minority willing to start the brush fires of freedom in the minds of man. I want to legalize freedom. What's so bad about that? What's wrong with legalizing choices about your life and your liberty and your religious values? What's wrong with, like, legalizing the Constitution? I can spend everything I do by the Constitution. We're into wars that are costing us trillions of dollars. Those trillions of dollars should have been left in the economy to build jobs and produce prosperity here at home.
The strength of the vision that Ron Paul and the Founding Fathers have put forward is it is not necessary for us to agree on everything. It is necessary that we agree that we should all be free.
Look at the peerless, shining example he set. Look at what he has done. Look at this historic event and dream of what he will achieve in the future with our help.
In his heart and in his head, in his character and in his intellect, in what he has done and in what he will become. The Thomas Jefferson of our day, Ron Paul, is one of us.
It's not like I'm just trying to win and get elected. I'm trying to change the course of history.
Hi, I'm Israel Anderson. Welcome to Ron Paul Flicks Daily News for April 16, 2012. Got some exciting news coming out of Minnesota and Colorado to share with you. We just won the entire delegation from Minnesota. What does this mean? Well, Minnesota has 3 districts and 3 delegates get elected to each district. They go to state and they get elected there. We just won every single one of them. Every single last one. Santorum, Romney, nowhere to be found. So some have talked about how we need 5 completely won delegations to go to the state convention and the national convention rather, in order to be on the ballot as the nominee. Well, number 1 is there guaranteed. Colorado, we just won 12. plus 8, I'll get to those 8 in just a minute, out of 36. So we didn't get 50%, although we kind of did. I'll explain that in just a second, but why is there such a discrepancy between what the media is talking about and what I'm talking about here tonight? Well, the media counts delegates according to caucuses and primary votes, and that is wrong. Delegates are determined at state conventions, and most have not yet occurred. So let's take a closer look at what happened in Colorado. The Associated Press reports that Romney has 13, Santorum has 6, and there's 17 unpledged. Not true, because the actual results from the state convention are thus. Ron Paul has 12, Santorum has 8, plus 8, see? Romney has 16. Now, why have I added Santorum and Ron Paul together? Well, normally that wouldn't be the case, but what happened is there was a conservative Paul Santorum slate with Paul and Santorum delegates that the two parties, the two candidates, people got together in order to crush Romney's chances of getting the plurality of votes from Colorado, which we have done. So we have now got 20 versus Romney's 16. This is very, very exciting. See, the Santorum people are really getting on board with the Ron Paul campaign now. Whether you like it or not, some of these Christians simply will not vote for a Mormon because they believe Mormonism is a cult, and there's no way in God's green earth they are ever going to vote for him. So that kind of goes in our favor right now. So the Santorum people are helping us out. Now, the Santorum people were actually very surprised at something Ron Paul said in the last couple of days. Ron Paul said this, that Israel can have Jerusalem as its capital if it wants to. Now, this shocked some of the Santorum people because they don't believe that Ron Paul is pro-Israel. But if you knew some of the history of Ron Paul and Israel, Ron Paul's been in the Congress a long time, remember? If you go back, for instance, to say 1981, Israel destroyed Iraq's nuclear reactor, and everybody else in the Congress voted on a bill to put down their actions. Ron Paul didn't. He voted against it. He supported Israel's actions to be a sovereign nation. See, that's the big thing. Ron Paul believes Israel can make its own sovereign decisions without needing to ask us, or the US, for permission. That's pro-Israel. You see, Ron Paul is tired of Israel being America's lapdog and wants them to be the independent and sovereign nation that they are. Ron Paul is truly pro-Israel. And if you just look back at some of the previous videos where he's talking about Israel, you will see the amazing similarities between what Netanyahu has said here in our own Congress and what Ron Paul has said. They say exactly the same thing. And I know some people on that video have posted comments saying Netanyahu's comments before the US Congress are being taken out of context. No, they are not. They're simply not. Moving on to other things, there is a money bomb on today. It actually started yesterday, Sunday, and we just got over $1 million. Yay! Except the goal is $2.5 million. We really need to work on this, guys. I know we've given so much. I'm maxed out. I know what it's like, but we got to give more. We got to get this up there. I mean, we're doing so well on the delegate count right now, but we need the money. Ron Paul has a private jet. You may think, oh, Donald Trump, lap of luxury. But the reality is he needs to be able to get around and fly places. So we need to keep that jet in the air. We need to be able to fund all of the activities to make sure that we can keep winning delegates like we just did in Minnesota and Colorado. Look, Santorum is probably looking at us right now thinking, I have to nominate or I have to endorse Romney because he's the nominee. But there is Ron Paul, and it looks like he might be able to do something. if we can keep the campaign going, then maybe there's a chance Santorum would actually endorse Ron Paul. Now, if Santorum endorsed Ron Paul, we would get such a flood of support, it would not be funny. But if we can't keep the campaign going, Santorum, is really going to have no choice but to endorse Romney because he's the presumptive nominee. We can beat Romney, and we're on track to do it. That's the incredible thing. Look, my own personal opinion, and I can't back this up with the facts, but I've been in this a little while now. I think we are either number one in the delegate count, or we are such a ridiculously close second in the delegate count that all we need is to keep pushing a little further, and we're going to beat Romney. We may not even need a broker convention in Tampa. We may win on the very first vote. You think that's not possible? Hey, stranger things have happened, and other candidates have gone to the convention with just 5% support and won the nomination. We have a whole lot more than 5% support. So please, don't think this campaign is over. Dig deep. Give as much as you possibly can. Make sure Ron can keep flying around the country giving the speeches, because that's what's rallying the troops. We have to keep doing that. Please give all that you can. That's our show. Follow us on Twitter, Ron Paul Flicks, Facebook, Ron Paul Flicks. If you want to subscribe, favorite, thumbs up, and comment, share, do that. If you want to support us financially, you can do it there. But please, before you do that, get along to, the campaign's website, ronpaul2012.com, and give whatever you can towards the money bomb, because we really need it badly. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
We're going to go now to Clute, Texas, to hear from another Republican contender, Congressman Ron Paul. Mr. Paul, welcome to Face the Nation. Let me talk to you first a little bit about what the Vice President said about Afghanistan, because basically what he said is we're going to stay the course there. Now, I know a lot of people in your party don't particularly agree with you on foreign policy, but has Afghanistan been worth our time and treasure?
No, absolutely not. We went in there improperly. It was a waste. There's not going to be a happy ending. And I think the Republicans have dug a hole for themselves because they're trying to militarize the president and say we should do more. And yet 75% of the American people said we've had enough. It's cost us too much money. It's time to come home. But this was Obama's cherished position. He says this is the good war. And now we've been there 10 years. It's a sad state of affairs. And I think it's when you see innocent people dying, when you see all the collateral damage, you see 16 people getting murdered, that's a tragedy. But with thousands of innocent people are dying, they just call them collateral damage because we endlessly drop these bombs around and all the people who died in Iraq. No, it's time to change the policy. And this is my argument, is the American people want to change. They're tired of it. It's costing us too much money. But we're not offering anything differently. And so if this is to be an issue, the other Republican candidates offer nothing more than a continuation of the status quo or actually increasing the militarism that we have around the world. So I think that's a losing position.
What are your plans now? I mean, it seems clear to me, and you can tell me I'm wrong, but it seems clear to me that there's no way you're going to get the nomination now. Do you intend to continue hanging around?
Obviously, yes. The conventional wisdom is there's no guarantee. It knows. You were talking earlier on about Romney being the candidate, but that's the conventional wisdom, and I would admit that. But no, the votes haven't been counted. There's quite a few states right now. There are 6 or 7 states that we're doing quite well through the delegate process. So we don't even know who's getting what so far, and who knows what will happen on the first vote at the convention. So I would say that it's it's very encouraging because I am talking to a whole generation which is expanding, you know, as far as age goes. But when I can get 5,200 people out on a college campus is wildly enthusiastic to hear the message of liberty and freedom and less wars and curtailing the Federal Reserve, there's no way I'm going to quit speaking out on this. And there's no way I'm going to give up on the effort to get the Republican back to their roots. You know, in some ways they say, well, why don't you give up and this will help the Republican Party. The truth is, I'm trying to save the Republican Party from themselves because they want perpetual wars. They don't care about presidents who assassinate American citizens. They don't care about searching our houses without search warrants. And these are the kind of things that people care about. And if the Republicans would take a different position, they may save themselves. But right now, I see they're going to be in big trouble. What about the deficit? Sure, the Democrats spend too much money, but the Republicans said, well, our proposal is to balance the budget in 30 years. I mean, people are laughing at that. So I say cut the budget by $1 trillion. This idea that you have a debt crisis, the worst in the history of the world, and we won't cut spending, we have a problem.
You know, I must say, hearing you this morning, you sound like somebody that might not support even the Republican candidate come the fall. Is there any way or any chance, or are you thinking about maybe heading up a third-party effort after the Republican convention?
No, I don't have any plans for that. I didn't hear Gingrich mention that he was thinking about it either. But no, I have no plans to do that. I'm trying to win the nomination. The votes haven't been counted. I think the views I hold are very, very popular. I think we represent the future. The other candidates represent the past. The president represents the past. We represent the future about what freedom really brings us: free markets and sound money and civil liberties and a sensible foreign policy. And this idea, they're living with their head in the sand to think that there's not a debt crisis. There is a debt crisis, and you have to cut spending. This idea that you need to spend more money and print more money when you get into trouble, I mean, it's absolutely bizarre. And I think common sense tells us that you just can't keep spending. This is why you talked a little bit about this discord between Republicans and Democrats. It's because they refuse to admit there's nothing left in the Treasury, and they're fighting. Before, we were very rich. The middle class was rich, and the revenues came in. But there's nothing there, and this is why this conflict is going to get much worse until we admit the truth.
Let me ask you this quickly. I think I heard somebody say you at Public has said that you'd like to be on the ticket with Mitt Romney if he gets it. Would you?
I haven't said anything like that, and I don't see how that would happen. There's too many disagreements. I like Mitt Romney as a person. I think he's a dignified person, and I have no common ground on economics. I mean, he isn't worried about the Federal Reserve, and he isn't worried about the foreign policy. He doesn't talk about civil liberty. So I have a hard time to expect him ever to invite me to campaign with him.
Would you vote for him, or would you support him?
No, I haven't made that decision yet. I'm still campaigning.
You haven't made the decision on whether you would support Mitt Romney if he gets the nomination?
No, I have not.
All right. Well, Mr. Paul, thank you very much for being with us this morning.
Greetings, folks. It's T-Mott back again. Of course, this is not a drive time. This is a Ron Paul moment. You see the title. I'm standing as did Martin Luther King, and I'm going to explain to you why I say that. I'm trying to keep the camera right so you can at least see my face. But, I did a video. There's this one guy. I consider him to be cool with me. But he, along with a couple other people, came on my channel and basically said, you got on the wrong train, T-Mott. A train and no tracks. It's a waste of time for you to do what you're doing on behalf of Ron Paul, and I'm, paraphrasing, so to speak. Well, folk, let me explain something to you. Not only did white folk not want Martin Luther King to do what he was doing, to bring about change and freedom, and more importantly, awareness. And it was that awareness, that worldwide awareness, when folks saw water hoses and dogs being let loose, not only on men, but on women and children, that the world took note and somebody decided to stand up and say, hey, I've got a pair of balls. Let me do something about this. A change needs to come. Well, I'm standing. I'm doing the same thing because a change needs to come. For one thing, Negroes need to stop being wholesale, lock, stock, and barrel, sold up in the doggone Democratic, liberal camp. Secondly, we need to bring about awareness for who Ron Paul really is. And the only way to do that, folks, is to get out there and put boots on the ground to get folk to know, hey, the man is here. The press don't want you to know about him. They're trying to suppress who he really is, but I am not. So I say all that to say, if you don't support Ron Paul, that's good. I ain't mad with you. That's what makes America great. The ability to be able to support whom you feel is worthy of the position. So that being said, if I support the man, do me the courtesy when in my house. Don't come make comments telling me what I don't damn need to do. This is what I'm doing. This is what I believe. Whether you feel I'm on a train with no tracks or not, that's my that's my damn business, okay? Because, you know, that really irritates the hell out of me when folk want to tell me what I don't need to be doing. Just like they tried to tell Dr. Martin Luther King to sit down, you can't change nothing. And even Negroes told him, hey, we like it the way it is. Why are you trying to mess all this up? Well, folk, this country is going to hell in a handcart under the leadership of not only the Republican, but the Democratic Party. They are playing games with the American people. Look at this thing that's going on with Obama right now, where he really wants to play games for the environmentalists and put off this thing about the pipeline, and the Republicans are trying to force his hand to go ahead and allow it to go by tacking it on to another bill rather than just presenting it for what it was. Why you got to sneak it in something else, and not necessarily sneak it in, but tack it on? It's games, folk. Gamesmanship. And that's what they deem us. Pieces on a doggone chessboard. I don't even think they consider it chess, more like checkers. T-Mot out until next time, folks. Get up, do something, get up off your ass and learn what the hell is really going on. T-Mot out until next time. I'm out here boots on the ground for Ron Paul, because guess what? I am about freedom!
President Paul!
A rousing welcome, a roaring crowd, and a stage set for a rock star. But a rock and roll concert, it is not.
Ron Paul, ladies and gentlemen. Dr. Ron Paul.
He calls it a town hall meeting. They call it a revolution.
Our goal should be to enhance liberty. That should be what we're all about.
Even hours before the event, the line stretched around the building with students and other Ron Paul disciples who made the trek to see what seems to many an unlikely hero, especially for such a youthful crowd.
Although he is up there in age, you could say, I think that he has youthful ideas.
People our age understand that we have nothing to look forward to the way we're going, and he's the only one that offers an actual solution, an actual plan to try to change that.
Ron Paul's young followers say they all march to the beat of the same drum, especially when they're trying to drown out the drums of war.
I've lost a lot of buddies, you know, along the way, crossed over the seas and the wars and stuff, and I would just like to see them come home.
We go to other countries and we say, well, this is what we want you to do. And if you do it, we'll prop up your dictator and we'll send you a lot of money. But if you don't do what we do, we're going to kill you and bomb you. Now, why shouldn't we have a third option? Why shouldn't we say, why don't we just mind our own business?
With military veterans supporting Ron Paul more than any other presidential candidate, the non-interventionism policy is one that resonates here. For Ron Paul and his supporters, the military and the economy go hand in hand.
That'll be one of the first things on my agenda.
Ron Paul speaks about bringing back the gold standard and cutting the deficit by $1 trillion, mostly by eliminating much of the government, including the Departments of Energy, Commerce, and Education.
Middle class is shrinking, standard of living is going down, and we're engulfed in debt.
Radical ideas to some, but not for these enthusiastic fans, who also say the lack of support at the polls is irrelevant.
It may not be about this election, it may not be about the next one, but in 10 to 20 years from now, when we're the core voting group, Ron Paul's message will be carried on, and whoever the strong liberty candidate is at that time will probably has a good chance of winning the White House.
Even after the show, the loyal groupies remained, waiting for one final chance to show their rock star some love.
The Ritchie Coliseum here at the University of Maryland seats 1,700 people, and just a few minutes ago, it was packed. Now, Ron Paul has vowed to stay in the race at least through the Republican National Convention. He says he owes it to his delegates and reminded everyone here tonight that a lot of those delegates have not yet officially been counted. In College Park, Maryland, Christine Frizzell, RT.
Pretty cool, huh? Crazy. Are we going to war? It looks like it, doesn't it? There's got to be over 100 on there. I think it's big at 3 inches. Yes. Insane. It's not ending.
Need a majority. You need what he said was an irate, tireless minority willing to start the brush fires of freedom in the minds of man. I want to legalize freedom. What's so bad about that? What's wrong with legalizing choices about your life and your liberty and your religious values? What's wrong with, legalizing the Constitution? I can spend everything I do by the Constitution. We're into wars that are costing us trillions of dollars. have been left in the economy to build jobs and produce prosperity here at home.
Of the vision that Ron Paul and the Founding Fathers have put forward is it is not necessary for us to agree on everything. It is necessary that we agree that we should all be free.
Look at the peerless, shining example he set. Look at what he has done. Look at this historic event and dream of what he will achieve in the future with our help.
Heart and in his head, in his character and in his intellect, in what he has done and in what he will become. The Thomas Jefferson of our day, Ron Paul, is one of us.
It's not like I'm just trying to win and get elected. I'm trying to change the course of history.